like to even waste any time. Let's get right up to our first story of the day, and that is, Rugby Mexico has finally affirmed that, yes, there is a push for an MLR franchise in Mexico, and they just announced it yesterday. They dropped a little bit of letter. You got to love a letter. And of course, it was actually in Spanish, but, I got to translate it for the people, because most of us might not know. Actually, the large majority of us might know Spanish, but I don't know Spanish. I'm a Portuguese speaker now, so I can only do what I can do. But from what it seems, it looks like they have something really, really special on it. Publication related to the agreement between Rugby Ventures Mexico and the State Institution of Physical Culture and Sports of the State of Nuevo León. The Mexican Rugby Federation AC, aka FMRU, makes the following point. Rugby Ventures Mexico is a project that was born from an initiative of Mexico Rugby Federation by provoking yada, 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 yada. Okay, so we'll get to the part that matters most. The FMRU promotes the effort by bringing together 3 partners with experience in marketing, media, private investment, and asset management. And that is an American partner that has led the founding, direction, and operation of Major League Rugby, founded an MLR team, Houston SaberCats, and conceived in partnership with the city of Houston and financed the construction of a Viva Stadium in Houston, Texas. That one might be the most sensible making thing I think I've actually ever heard when it comes to anything dealing with MLR creation, because Houston, if you guys know Houston has a massive Mexican population, massive Latin American Spanish speaking population. A partnership between Houston and Mexico makes absolute sense. Not only is it direct flights between the two, not only is it tourism between the two, but it is absolutely economic drivers that are actually fitted perfectly well together. The other thing that Rugby Mexico Federation said was that 2 Mexican partners who play together on the Mexican rugby team will continue to be involved in the development of the sport while leading successful professional careers in media, marketing, and investment. A little bit vague, but hey, again, I'm really happy to be able to hear that they are actually putting in the real time to make sure that they got this going on the way that they're supposed to have this going on. That's how you're supposed to get this done, right? You work with who has the money, and we know Houston SaberCats, that's oil money up there. That's that oil money up there. That's a lot of investment going on in Houston, and then obviously Mexico. Now, a lot of people, they had another page on here, but I don't feel like there's a necessity to read it. I'm going to put it onto what you got replays of the show on our website, GiftTimeRugby.com. I'll put the full documentation inside the podcast page for this episode. You guys can read it yourselves and get a full understanding. It's very, very important. But I think ultimately a lot of people would go after, why should Mexico get an MLR? Right? Why do they need to have it? Well, look, for one thing for all, a lot of people don't realize how much Mexico has been developing in rugby, but they're very, very new, ironically. So, a little bit of history going on right here, all right? First and foremost, the FMRU has had 2, Rugby Mexico has had 2 legitimately different series and phases of life. Right? On one hand, they were around in 1930 with Houston and doing their impact on the region, and we're kind of in the late 1970s, and then they just kind of stopped. And then they came back again in around 2003 and have been kind of in the process of coming up and making their way back into the regular fold of things within rugby itself. So I give them credit because, look, U.S. rugby has been established in the 1960s. It's hard. 2003, we're talking a little 20 years, exactly 20 years. So, progress moves, progress goes. And of course, for them, they made the Olympics. Women's side that just literally started in 2007, 2008. Juan ran 7s. They've been including in the repêché for the Olympics in 2020. Then again, they're doing it again for 2024. So, this is a team that's been building. I've watched U19 and watch them perform and absolutely, like, really ruffle them. It's not like they rolled over. They were dominant. This has been a pretty strong team. Mind you, whenever they've gone up against larger competition and really had to hit it, of course, they've had their weaknesses. They have to slip up because, once again, you have the U.S. and Canada and all their colleagues have more time, more experience, more population. A lot of Mexico's rugby players almost reside entirely somewhere around Mexico City with the state. So they're still building up the population. But I give them credit because they put pressure on the U.S., pressure on Canada. The U19 has robust program and women's side. Shout out to, again, friend of the coach, Salaman, who has been a leader the last 3 years for the, maybe 4 or 5 years, for, no, 3 years, for the Mexican women's side. Like, they're making push, they're consistently being in the conversation in terms of making it being on the scene. Now it's that chance to be able to take that next level. I mean, in addition to that, we're talking about a team that is now also looking at creating a Rugby America team, being included into that competition with development. I feel like they're taking a lot of Argentina, to be honest with you, which is great. Like, that's a great regional, competition to borrow a blueprint. So shout out to Mexico Rugby Union for confirming it. So now it makes me feel a lot more confident. I know whenever the rumors first came out, or when the letter first came out, again, I used this comparison to what happened with Hawaii 3 years back, national franchise going on now, where, like, is it just a lot of talk, or are you guys actually, like, doing something? Are you guys actually getting something done? So, I think this is something that can have a big upside. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Of course, hit us up in the comment, for the YouTube, PM or message us on Instagram or any other platform. Like, what is it that we are going to see coming out of this Mexico team, and what's that development? I think somebody said this a while ago. There might be a little bit of a renaissance in Latin America for rugby. A lot of that has been centered around Argentina, but now we're seeing a rise in Chile with investment into their players and coaching. Uruguay obviously has been steadily developing themselves. Look, and like I said, Latin America and not Hispanic America. Brazil has now made an impact in one of the best behind Argentina rugby countries in South America as well. Spotify has been making that name to be seen that. And a lot of people will be like, look at the past, but hey, I say, if you have seen what they've done in the past in a short period of time that they've done this, I don't think there is something that is removed from the situation. So I apologize, guys, for the loud music. I didn't catch that. Anyways, thank you so much, Ill Rugby. I appreciate you, Ill Rugby. And I actually like this. Ill Rugby on Instagram. Look, you guys can actually comment. We're finally able to do Instagram live as well too. So Ill Rugby says, currently have a Q&A with an American-born high school player, female player who's just competed in the Mexico age grade tournament in the works. And it's great for Mexico rugby. A big shot in the arm. However, 2 competitions with one team, fans will be confused. And which side does the ownership put most of their resources into? Honestly, and I'm going to go ahead and answer that right now. Honestly, I don't think that there's going to be that much of a competition in terms of resources. I think the MLR team, while it is being promoted by the Federacion Mexicana de Rugby, even though FMU is promoting MLR, I believe MLR is going to be privately owned. ultimately it's going to be privately owned, using state property, obviously, to be able to handle the stadium and et cetera like that. But the team itself was privately owned. So with the Super Rugby America side, I'm thinking that they're going to end up using something of another national team aside. Probably will use their national team. Wouldn't be an unusual aspect to do it. I mean, for Penarol, that's basically Argentina's national side. Uruguay basically plays their national side for it. So Chile is the same way. Like they're playing their national sides either way. And for the MLR team, it's not going to just be all Mexican players that are going to be there. They're definitely going to bring in some Argentinians. They'll probably bring in a few Canadians, a couple of the guys that are no longer with Rugby New York or with Toronto, who might not get picked up in recent years, might get picked up for the season following or traded into that area, plus drafting into it. So, like, I have a feeling that we're not going to see a clash of the talent, but there will be probably some questions in terms of like, who do you consider developmental talent? Who do you consider national talent? But again, I don't foresee it to be a major clash between them. So I appreciate that question. So y'all, I definitely love it. Definitely love to hear more and more about what you got, your thoughts on this. But let's move on to the next story.
I ain't convinced.